Welcome, fam. This is MDFEME. We are a group of female physicians from diverse backgrounds who have decided to share our stories with you, our listening audience. We are real, we are honest, and we are candid about topics that affect all of us. We hope that our dialogue will dispel myths, change culture, and rewrite the narrative. Please visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and our website, mdfem.com. If you have questions or a topic you would like us to address, please don't hesitate to reach out to us through our social media, website, or our email. We listen, we care. MDFEM. And we are on, and we're going to have a difficult conversation today. The titled version here is going to be Black Lives Matter, but stop killing our patients is our subtext, because we take care of these people, and we are these people. Most of the docs in MDFEM are Black or women of color, just in general. And so this directly affects us and our communities and our families. And we're obviously upset, like the rest of the nation. And it is something that every healthcare professional should be either discussing with one another or with their families also, and how we can change this narrative and get better. So to start out, let's start with Aquia. How are you doing? What's going on?
Given everything that's going on, I'm okay. We know that right now we're fighting two pandemics, essentially. One that has been here from the beginning of time, and then one that has been here for about 3 months. So I'm doing okay as far as from the clinical standpoint. We see that, cases of COVID were going down. But with all these protests and things, and people not social distancing, people outside, people not wearing masks, it's almost like we're kind of waiting for a spike to return. But I'm kind of happy that we're not in that critical time that we were before when COVID came. But of course, with all the racial injustices going on, that is something of concern.
Okay. Lumna, how about you?
Me?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Family and I, we've been discussing it a lot. So we're from Pakistan. My dad, when he came here in the 60s, he actually faced a lot of racism. So he went to the engineering school in Colorado. So he was called the N-word. They never seen anybody like him in Colorado. So that's what they would call him. Like, he would literally be called that. So my dad was very attuned to racism very early on when he came here in the 60s. So growing up, we were very aware of people's races, religions, to respect it. My dad's brother married a Haitian lady. My cousins were half Haitian, half Pakistani. I saw the struggles that they dealt with also growing up in the 90s, the 80s, during that time where you see a biracial couple and people say stuff. So, for me, I've seen it. I've never experienced it personally, but my family members have. And then it's a problem because it's not just even in the white culture, it's in a lot of cultures. A lot of Asian cultures have a stigma against Black people. It's almost like you're told to fear them or think these things, and it's horrible. And me being in the younger generation and my dad actually being witness to it, exposed us to that and told us this is not right. We should be all equal in the eyes of everyone, and in God's eyes we're all equal. So never ever treat anybody differently. And I mean, to me, it hurts me to see this happening to my colleagues, my friends, my family, and it's horrible that we're still here. Like, we're still at this point. We're still fighting this. And it's honestly, it almost makes me like cry on a daily basis when I see these videos and stuff like that. I mean, I can't even imagine. I could never imagine what you guys are going through. Like, after 9/11, I had to defend my religion, but I never had to defend the color of my skin, you know? And to me, that's just horrible.
Candace, how are you doing? Raising a black son in this atmosphere. How are you doing?
That's a very good question. As you said, being a mother of a black boy in America, I am outraged, I am terrified, and I'm very much hurt. It's like, talk about the mental health cases of just going through this. I mean, he's not whole enough to know what's going on, but as parents, we are, and it's just like, how do you go about the day? It's like, and it's just being like watching that video over and over again. It's like seeing that your race is subordinate, and it's like, what do you do from there? It's like you're helpless,
right?
And I'm going back to that quote where I specifically love that movie, When They See Us, about the Central Park Five, the famous one by the Raymond Santana, when he said, when they say boys will be boys, they're not talking about us. When do we get to be boys? And I think about it every day. Like, something has to happen.
Wow.
So, you know, speaking from, you guys know that I'm politically active. I have permeated it into all of you. I have given books. I have given lectures when I was in residency. I am politically active. That's who I am. And this to me is disgusting. I feel sick to my stomach seeing this in 2020, okay? It does not shock me because I knew that it was going on all the time and it's never gone away, okay? I've had conversations online with colleagues that are Black and colleagues that are not Black, okay? And the conversations, some of these conversations really kind of, you know, it's important to have those discussions with your, you know, your non-Black peers so they can understand what you're going through. But it's frustrating because they'll never understand. I had to come to a point where I said to them, you're not Black. You're not Black and you will not understand it unless you are, because you have privilege. A lot of people don't even recognize the privilege that they have with the color of their skin. So, you know, we've been dealing with this. Now, I grew up Caribbean, okay? And in the Caribbean, Candace can tell you, we don't tolerate that. It exists, but there's so many Black people on the island.
Cut it down.
You try that. It's not gonna happen. And then the nature and the history of how we got our freedom was revolution. We took it. It was by force. And there was not enough of them to, you know, overpower us. And so when we were free, we were really free. We didn't go through Jim Crow. We didn't go through Willie Lynch. We didn't go through segregation. We didn't have that experience. So we are different from our African-American peers in that sense. But I also know that history. I read those books when I was younger, like when I was 9. I think my aunt is the one who gave me like Richard Wright, Native Son, Black Boy to read, you know, Langston Hughes and all these other permeable writers, and basically open my mind to say, when you do come, you know, when you do come through with this, you know, understand when you come to the US that you are seen as a Black woman, you know, we'll see your color first and judge you on that no matter what happens. And you know, you have to adjust your behavior in that manner. And it saddens me that people thought that it didn't exist. There are actually people who thought, oh, racism doesn't exist in America. I'm so sorry. Yes, it does. And people say, oh, the first instance of this is Rodney King. The first instance of this is not Rodney King. The first instance of this is not Emmett Till back in the 50s, 60s. The first instance of this is not lynchings, okay? The first instance of this is slavery. They took us from our homes, brought us to a land that they did not own, and then enslaved us. Not today, colonizer, hence my shirt. Okay? No. Let's set the record straight. This goes back to slavery. But I'm going to stop my rant.
I know, right?
I'm going to welcome Emily Shea.
I must say,
Dr. Emily Shea is
God
on.
bless these things.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, right.
Can
Yeah.
you imagine
bless.
if someone didn't video record that happening?
Can you imagine?
They would have
Can you
all
imagine?
walked free.
Free.
Nothing would have happened.
Free.
Thank God for that. Thank God.
Exactly.
So social media has changed the landscape of this completely.
Completely.
I totally agree with that. You know, and I think that, you know, people are like, oh, well, you just stood there and you videoed. No, you did something.
Oh.
By videoing this event,
Yeah.
you have cataloged it and made it, you know, but then
Yep.
some will say the videos in itself are a trauma to the Black society.
Absolutely. They're traumatic
Okay.
to
Well,
watch.
yeah.
Yes, you're watching
yeah.
this on
Absolutely.
repeat. You're
Mm.
watching the
It's
systematic
horrible.
racism and institutional, you know, construct beat us down literally on
Yeah.
video, on repeat. They play it on
Literally.
CNN every 2-3 minutes. You're seeing this thing constantly. It affects our mental health. It
Absolutely.
affects our
course.
mental health.
Absolutely.
So, you know, while it is a tool to get the change that we need, it is also breaking us down as a society because we're seeing it on
Mhm.
repeat, you know?
And
I
as
think it's a
individuals.
necessary evil. I totally agree with you, but I
Yeah.
think it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
It's like watching the movie I'm brought up when they see us.
Yes.
I mean, it took me years to watch it, but
still haven't.
I had to. I had to watch it.
Akria said she still has it, and I know Emily has not finished the first episode.
I'm not
So,
ready. I'm
yeah.
not ready for it.
It's I wasn't ready for that video with George Floyd. I
I-
was not ready.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was not ready.
No.
I literally
No.
had to pause it. I'm like, I think I have to watch that another time. Like,
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
too emotional.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Emily, how are you doing with everything that's going on? I asked this question to everybody, by the way, not just you. So,
I'm exhausted.
Mm.
And not just, yes, there's work, but this is a different exhaustion. Like, I went back to work and I was like, I don't want to be here. Why am I here?
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't want to talk to anybody. Because, you know, the thing, whenever someone sees you, is like, hey, how you doing? And my cookie cutter answer is, I'm fine. Like, it comes out
Yes.
automatically. I'm okay,
Right.
or I'm fine. And that's not how I feel. And I refuse to give that answer because that is not how I feel.
Mm. So they know that something is up. They know your colleagues, your patients, the nurses, they know something is up.
Well, my question to you is this. You know, people ask that question and don't really stay for the answer. You know, how are you?
They don't.
And they walk away, right? They walk away.
That's
What
true.
if you turned and said,
more than 2 lines?
exactly. What if you turned and said, I'm not okay. I'm not okay with what they did. How do they respond? And you know what I wish my non-Black colleagues would understand too is that I am not the source for all things Black. Our experiences are not monolithic. Okay,
Right.
we are different people. We share the same skin. We have that African descent. We're proud of it, but we're not all the same. So you cannot ask me to speak on all things and everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the first. Let's get that sensitivity
So
training.
you may be that one Black friend or colleague or interaction that they have. So they're expecting you to have all the answers, and it's unfortunate, and it's pressure on you because you're still trying to figure out your own emotions and how to deal with this. But they may be like, oh, well, I work with a Black person.
Right.
And that Black person is you.
I'm telling you.
I don't, actually one of my colleagues asked me that today, and I was like, I almost said I'm okay, and I looked him in the eye and I said, you know what, because I had answered the phone earlier and he said I sounded pissed off. And he's like, were you mad because I asked you to do something? And I was like, no, I'm a Black person in America.
Wow.
That's exactly what I said.
Good for
I said,
you.
I'm a Black person in America. And he's like,
Yeah,
okay,
wasn't prepared for that
I
answer.
understand.
But wasn't just prepared for that answer. I bet you had a
He
pause.
wasn't.
Yeah,
He wasn't.
yeah, and
So I don't think anyone is ever prepared for that answer. But you know what? That's my answer. Because
It's a real answer. It's
that's
the
what I
truth.
am.
It's a
That's
real
what
answer.
I am. I'm a Black person in this world, and you know what? The next person on the ground under somebody's knee could be me.
God forbid,
That's
but yes.
cold, hard
Sad,
facts.
but it's
Men,
true.
women, children, they're not discriminating.
Mm,
Once
at
you
all.
have Black skin, you're the next one.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't have a lot of words. I have a lot of anger.
understandably.
And, that's about all I have. I was thinking about it the other day, and I feel like, you know, people are talking about the protests and you have the peaceful protesters, and then you have the people who are getting the people who are irate. There are people who are pulling down statues, destroying things, and then you have the looters, whatever. I don't know what that's supposed to do for this. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, I have this sensation in the pit of my chest, and it feels like a hurricane, like 185-mile-per-hour winds just churning in the pit of my chest, and I have nowhere to put it. The people who are out there shouting and using bullhorns and shaking their fists and pulling down statues and yelling in the faces of police, they are releasing some of their hurricane. I have nowhere to put mine. I can't go to work and talk to anybody about it. Where am I going to scream it from?
Right.
You understand what I mean? Like, I have no release for that. If I choose to release it, let's say I get into a conversation with somebody and it potentially gets heated. Now I'm the angry Black woman, right?
Yeah.
There's nowhere, and because of what, at least this is the way I think, because of what I do, I have to compose myself a certain way. So I can't just go off. I can't be like, I need a minute to just go into a room and throw some shit around or whatever. I can't do that.
Right.
I can't take a day off. Sure, they encourage you, take a mental day, get yourself right. But I can't take a day off. I can't take it. That throws the entire schedule out of whack. Like, I go to work sick.
Yeah.
Physically sick. So to say, like, I'm not sick, I don't have a sore throat, I don't have a fever, but my brain is not right.
So this is my thing too. It should not be deemed unprofessional for you to have to voice these things. This is a part of what you're going through. Unfortunately, in the construct of medicine, there is also institutional and systemic racism.
Yep.
I'm going to say it just there. That's an inherent bias. If you read some of the old texts about how they used to diagnose and classify people, we're not going to go into that today, but it is based on those same principles. I mean, so I understand your frustration at work. And if you don't have another colleague that is Black to kind of, have someone to share that load with, it becomes very difficult. And I can speak from experience. In fellowship, that was extremely difficult. Yes, I did, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't someone I could actually, talk. And anytime you voiced your feeling as a Black woman, you go back to this, angry Black woman look, which was.
And yeah, I have a right to be angry.
Exactly. We all have a right to be angry.
Many rights to be angry.
I mean,
so many rights to be angry.
My thing is this, they're like, why are you upset you didn't know him? I was like, I'm a human being. I am a Black person. Yeah, there's people that say this. I'm a human being. I'm a Black person. Okay. And this could have happened to me easily.
It could easily. On any day.
As MLK would say it, injustice anywhere.
Thank you.
Threat to justice everywhere.
Everywhere. And
it doesn't matter.
It does not matter. And then my thing about this is, do you think, I love when they always bring up their one story about when the police stopped them. It's not the same. It's not the same. I'm so sorry. I've been stopped by the cops more times than I'd like to admit, and if I wasn't doing anything. Swear, hand to God, wasn't doing anything. Sitting on the corner on the curb in handcuffs, waiting for them to figure out that, oh, she's a doctor or she's a medical student or blah, 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 all because of my locks and this color of my skin. Oh, you look like a suspect in some case that's going on or something that just happened in the neighborhood. This used to happen to me in Cincinnati quite a lot. Okay. And, that's why I don't like the Midwest. I'm just going to say that right out there. So sorry. I'm not a fan.
It don't matter.
And it really doesn't matter where you live in America, but it happens. It happens in some cities more than others. Okay. And
Chicago.
And I mean, like this, it's so sad. It's so sad when you hear people talk about, and this is the thing, the way that the police are trained to has to do a lot with what we're going through. They're taught that lower socioeconomic neighborhoods are places of crime. Well, guess who lives in the lower socioeconomic neighborhoods? Black people. So then they characterize Black equals crime. So as soon as they see the color of your skin, they make these assumptions. And it's wrong. It's wrong. We have to go through a process of reconditioning the mind. And there's a lot of people who...
I mean, it's also the way that they're trained, right?
Yes.
Like they're training. They're from the beginning, they're training. You need to go from the beginning of where this came from,
But so this is something I'm going to contest to you. The formal statements, like the police have their orders, their conduct laws, blah, 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 so forth, right? Okay. There is a statement from the United Nations that talks about policing and human rights. And there are clear statements in there that they're not supposed to be using, skin color and so forth as a way to whatever, okay? When you get to certain departments, you're talking about certain police forces, okay? We won't call them by name, but they have their own set of rules that kind of counteracts what they're supposed to be doing. And if you go back to the history of the police were the ones who had dogs and water hoses on us during the civil rights movement. The police were the ones who were actually part of the KKK back in the day.
Yeah.
Just going to be honest.
Back in the day or now?
And they still are.
Well, I don't know. And I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying that traditionally and historically, they have been on the wrong side of this. And it's time for those who are good cops to speak against those that are not good cops.
Yes.
This whole solidarity of blue is blue and, okay, you're a Black person and you're a cop. You're going to stand there and watch X, Y, and Z happen? No, you can't. That's not right anymore. And it doesn't matter what color of skin you are as a police officer. If you have a moral compass, you should be saying no. And that situation with George Floyd, what really upset me in that case was not just how he was murdered, because he was murdered, was the people that stood by and watched it. His fellow police officers literally protected him while he did this act. Yeah. They didn't say anything. That solidarity in blue.
Well, they've now put a monkey wrench in the whole thing. I don't know if you heard that 2 of them, it was only their 4th day on the job. Have you heard that?
No, I didn't.
So only 4 days on the job. You can't say this.
What they're going to,
right?
The angle they're probably going to use to not do jail time is that he was their supervisor, the one who did the killing. So it's like, they were probably shell shocked. They didn't want to overstep their boundaries on day 4 for the supervisor. I guarantee you that's the angle that they're going to use because they weren't even 1 week on the job. I'm just telling you what.
Listen to me very carefully. Wait.
Wrong from right.
Together.
Wrong is
you don't know.
You know wrong.
That's basically saying I'm an intern. This is my intern year. This is July 5th, and my senior, I'm in the ICU, and my senior does a bad central line, why am I getting pulled in?
Okay,
Well,
let me
not
explain.
even central line. It's like it's your fourth day in the ICU as the intern, and you're seeing your senior stab a patient with a knife. Like, that doesn't seem wrong to you?
So this
As
is
a
so wait.
fourth-day intern, that don't seem wrong? Like,
Wait.
I got in med school.
That don't seem wrong?
I didn't learn that in med school.
Wait, let me say this. Even in the Army, if a superior officer gives you an order and it violates codes of war or anything, like it's literally an egregious crime, you're not supposed to follow that order. It's you're supposed to have there are rules in place that say the moral compass is your last go-to. If you see somebody, it's, as Em said, if you see somebody stabbing somebody, you're gonna stand there and say, well, that's my superior? No, you're not gonna do that. That's insane. That's insane. So to use that as a defense is ridiculous.
That's when you, as you say, Christian, wipe the fingerprints off. Wipe the fingerprints off the chart. I wasn't in the room. Wipe the fingerprints off the chart.
Listen.
As I said, thank God for this phone.
Yes.
Get to scrubbing. Get to scrubbing. That is no. We don't want no parts in that.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll be on the phone. I'll be emailing the chief. Let me tell you about what happened this weekend while I was on. You may hear about this, but I'm letting you know about it first.
As the intern on day 4.
Listen, I have a question. I have one question here to ask in the line of things. So why do we think that George Floyd's murder is now the big catalyst? Because this is not the first Black man who said, I can't breathe. Eric Garner said, I can't breathe. Why is this murder causing this much uprise?
I've wondered that.
It's footage.
It's the footage.
Have we ever seen 10 minutes of a footage of a Black man dying?
Right.
I haven't.
It's the police officers. It was his persona, his bravado. His hands were in his pockets.
Yeah.
He was so relaxed. It was the fact that he showed no remorse, and people were in the background screaming, and he was crying for his mother. There's an emotional aspect of that video that I think a lot of the other videos didn't have. I also feel that people, in regards to the protesting and the riots, it's multifactorial. A lot of these rioters and people who are looting, we're in an economic downturn right now. People saw this as, man, these people are rioting. Let me go get that $14.99 tissue at Target that I can't get because I don't have any money because I've been furloughed because of COVID. People are no longer even social distancing.
Yeah.
They've been in their house for 3 months. They couldn't wait to go out.
So that's part of, I think part of it is, yes, this is the longest footage we've seen. It was very, you saw it from beginning to end. You got the whole sense of it, and you really kind of connected to the victim. Yes. It was extremely emotional, okay? I also think that it's the time that it happened in. This is this quarantine, COVID, everybody, it's a pressure cooker already. You have this economic disparity happening already that's now even wider because of COVID. And now it's literally a pressure cooker. And so boom, it's going to, explode. I
would say even the fact that we have the international eye, people internationally are at home as well. In London, in France, in Brazil, they're seeing that they're also protesting, but them too, they have nothing to do. They're watching TV. And they're seeing what's going on in America, and they're like, okay, we need to spread to action as well. It's like I said, it's the pressure cooker of COVID.
Right.
And,
Right. And I think that the solidarity from other nations and countries really is applying pressure on the case, which I think is important and should have happened sooner for this movement, but it's happening now. So we are grateful. But I think also let's return to the rioting and looting thing. I know that a lot of people say, oh, it's not going to achieve anything. It's a destructive mechanism. What can we hope to achieve from looting, from rioting, so forth? We have to understand that it is Martin Luther King once again said, rioting is the language of the unheard.
Mm-hmm.
It is a reaction to feeling like we have no other recourse. That is what that is, okay? And coming out and having peaceful protests and having hashtags and campaigns, and Black Lives Matter has been around since how many years now? And NAACP has been around since the Civil Rights Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been working actively to try to have Black people, equal in this country. And we have not made the headway that we should have made by this time, in my opinion, okay? And now you have all of those people, they've been working consistently, but they haven't been making any headway. People are gonna look at that and say, it's not enough for us to just stand here and shout, and we gotta make them understand, no more. We're not taking this anymore. And that's where you get the rioting from. And you also get it from the fact that there are instigators in the crowd. There are people planted to loot and to riot, to make, to go against the effort also. And they don't show you that on CNN. They don't show you that on the TV networks. They're I've seen a lot of social media videos. Again, social media, praise God for this phone. You hear? Social media. They're videotaping these people, these instigators in the crowd and going, no, look at what you're doing. That's not what we came here to do. At least people will now see that it's not the movement that's responsible for that. Okay? You have some people that are trying to create discourse and disrupt the message, because this is not what they want to happen. This was not on their agenda. Okay? So,
Well, I was watching, actually President Obama was talking yesterday, and I was watching, and he had a very good stance on it. Actually, he was like, rioting is necessary. He was even saying that's how America was formed. The American Revolution was formed on the whole tension and riots. So it is necessary. And I couldn't have said it even better. I was like, it is needed. I mean, do I like the looting and all that? No. I mean, it distracts from what's going on, to be honest with you. But as you brought up MLK, what he said, he's like, it is the voice of the unheard. I mean, even in that speech, he even said he didn't like it.
Right.
But he says he understands it, and it is very necessary.
And as Obama said, it has a historical pretext. This country was founded on rioting and looting. The Boston Tea Party was the personification of that. They love to write about these things in their history and paint them in pretty colors, but
but it wasn't pretty.
When it involves us, it's, oh, look at what they're doing. When it involves them, they're like, oh, look at how we fought for our freedom.
How strong they were.
Yeah, nonsense. Nonsense. Okay, that's what that is. And let's not even bring up Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of the first Black neighborhood cities were there. They had an independent Black neighborhood that was they have their supermarket, they have their whole thing going on. And this is back in the day. And they came in there and they killed those people.
Oh yeah, that Black Wall Street, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was horrible. But we don't talk about that. Shh, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I love how they tried to rewrite their history. The problem, and people don't like when you quote Malcolm X, but Malcolm X is one of my favorite civil rights activists of all time. Because when he said something, it was poignant and it was to the point, okay? And he said, you're not going to get, you're not going to get any headway here. And that was basically, I'm collaborating, but anyhow, he was talking about the knife in the back. He said that there's a knife in our back. It's 9 inches in. That's not that's not going to solve it. 6 inches out. It's not going to solve it. You took it out. That's not going to solve it. You have to heal the wound. America has not even begun to recognize that the knife is in the back of Black people. And that is the problem.
That's so true.
You have to recognize something for it to change and for us to heal from it. And if you keep saying, oh, it wasn't my fault, that was my ancestors, I didn't enslave you, I didn't bring you here. That's not, no, you have to admit and accept these are the atrocities that have been committed to an entire race of people. And it's time for us to, repair.
Absolutely.
Now I have a question for you guys. How do you respond to the Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter?
All lives matter, but the Black people are the one getting killed?
You know, I think somebody had a good point about if you come to the ER and you're bleeding in your leg and you're like, look, doc, I'm bleeding in my leg. And they're like, oh, but I need to check all your body. Let me check your heart. Let me listen to your heart and your lungs. You're like, no, you need to look at the issue. The issue is my bleeding leg before you go and listen to my heart. So
Exactly.
That's pretty much what in order to do all lives, you need to pinpoint the major issue within all lives, is that Black lives are not mattering right now.
Right.
Once
Exactly.
Black lives matter, then all lives will matter.
Well
Exactly. Well said. Well said. Now, do you think that I should not ask this question, but I'm going to ask this question.
Go ahead.
Do you think we're going to see true equality in our lifetime?
No.
How old are we? I said, how old are we? In our 30s and 40s? Okay.
Do your calculations. Do your calculations. We're 25 plus for the viewers, 25 plus.
25 plus.
I know. I like that. Forever 20.
But are we going to see this seriously?
But
are we going to see
let's
this
think
in our
about it.
lifetime?
Look at the progress from slavery until now. Like how long? Exactly. So you think my little bit of years left?
I'm asking. I'm not saying that it is. I'm asking you. Do we think it's going to actually happen? And it seems to be the consensus that that's a no.
That's
I'm gonna go with no. My problem with these movements, and I think I've said this to you before, Kristen, is that they come and they go. Right? There's no, it's not sustained. The raising of the voices and the anger is not sustained. Look at with every Black life that has been lost and publicized, it's like hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag insert whatever name you want for however long, and then you never hear about it again. I can remember a couple of years ago, there was something that happened, and I think as a Black community, we said we weren't gonna spend money in a certain place or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And then a couple weeks later, everybody was shopping at that place. Like how many people boycotted?
So
probably.
Gucci was boycotted. Gucci was boycotted for the sweater that they did that was blackface. Yes, they said it wasn't,
Gucci.
But it was clearly blackface. And
but now Gucci Mane is the face of Gucci now.
Well,
and now people be saying when you're saying you feel good, like you feel Gucci. No, I don't feel Gucci.
Let me explain to you the issue there. Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate and also address what you're saying. The Gucci thing. Let's go back to the Gucci thing. They issued a statement apologizing, and they had a whole thing because remember Dapper Don. His fashion house is out of Gucci, okay? So Dapper Don is one of the biggest voices out of Harlem. And basically he said they needed more Black people at the table before they made decisions like this. And so I believe they actively made a change to try to be more inclusive. So what a company does wrong, okay? Yes, they did wrong. But if they're doing their part to try to be more inclusive, then I don't see why, we should stop patronizing them if they're actually trying to change. That's the first thing.
I guess I don't agree.
So the second thing is you say that, these movements are not consistent. You hear they come in peaks and troughs, okay? My thing to you is that the movement is always there, okay? The media is not consistent. The media is the one who's pushing some of these envelopes to you peaks, right? When we have a Black life taken away from us, like Breonna Taylor, or like Ahmad Arbery, or like George Floyd, you get that initial media spike. Oh, look at what happened, blah blah blah, and they'll run with it as long as it's sensational, as long as it's bringing in ratings. And when it doesn't bring ratings anymore, it's out of the news circuit. That's why you don't hear about it anymore. It doesn't mean that Black Lives Matter or NAACP stopped working. They're consistently working. It's just that the noise behind it gets quieted down, because the noise is driven by media and viewership and tags and likes and all these things. That's the problem.
I get what you're saying. So, but what I'm saying is that those voices that join the fray, they need to continue.
I agree.
Like the people who, when Starbucks cuffed those guys in Philly, how long did people stop buying Starbucks?
Right.
Couple
I
weeks.
never stopped.
And then I'm sure Starbucks was making buku money off their vanilla ice latte or whatever the hell they be selling.
Yeah. But
My thing is, if you did it once, you can do it again.
So,
that's just how I feel. And I'm not going to support businesses or people who will discriminate against me or anyone who looks like me. I'm not doing it, because you claim this is a free country. You claim equal rights for everybody, then show it. Don't be all talk, walk the friggin' walk.
Right.
And if money is supposed to be good everywhere, if you want my money, then you know what? You need to treat me like equal or better than everybody else who's walking into your door.
I completely agree with you, Emily. I do. I just want to say, okay.
You asked the question.
There is a movement out there. It's called Blackout, okay? And it's not just a day. They're trying to get it to be one specific day, and I will send that information to you guys. But we
July
don't
7th.
patronize. Thank you. We don't patronize anything but Black-owned businesses, okay? But I think it should be more than a day. I
definitely think it should be more.
Should be a movement.
Exactly.
1,000%.
But then let me ask you a question. Do you know your Black-owned businesses where you live? Do you know your Black-owned supermarket? Do you know where your Black-owned bookstore? You see what I'm saying? Where are you going to go get your products? And that's why we need to start networking and linking and finding out those things so that we can start keeping the money in our communities. Marcus Garvey taught this principle years
Yes, he did.
ago. He told Black people the only way we're going to move forward together is if we support one another and our money stays within our community. Okay? This is the reason why, and somebody, I can't remember who sent me this video, but it's Powernomics. Powernomics is another theory, okay? The way that society is built, it's built on the construct of economics, okay? If your race or society or community or whatever has economy behind it, you see things start to progress. Yes, that's how it works here in America. If you live in a lower socioeconomic area or whatever, the schools are worse because they don't have enough money, because it's taxed based on who lives there, right? So it's always going to be that way. So how do we change that? If we keep our money within our communities and stop handing it out to other people that don't have our interest at heart, then we'll start to see a change. That's how it's going to have to happen. And I think it is the responsibility of those of us who are famous and doing well to give back to the community from which they came. You should be supporting, your peoples now. I saw that Kanye West gave $2 million to the city of Chicago and to the college funds for the children for George Floyd and so forth. I thought that was, that's commendable. That's commendable, but it's only one step, It's one step. So we need as a community to understand that, and all of these artists and famous, Black people that are out there, actors, so forth, you're entrepreneurs, you're making millions and billions, some of them. What are you doing for this movement right now? It's not enough for you to throw some dollars at the situation, although your dollars are appreciated. You need to be out there using your voice to change the narrative.
It has to be continuous.
Exactly. It can't just happen.
That's what I've been saying. It can't just be a one-off thing like this cycle for however long it lasts. No, this has to be a continuous thing. This cannot die down.
And
I think both of you are really saying the same
we're saying
thing,
the same
to be honest with you.
We're saying the same
but
thing.
I think what Emily's trying to say is the amount of people that bring the movement should be large. I mean, it shouldn't just die down to just the NAACP thing. It should die down to just them. it should be everybody as a collective should move towards the idea of
it affects
support
all of us.
Black
I mean,
people.
and
Yeah.
NAACP and the Black Lives Matter and whatever other organizations are out there, that's good, that's cool, but we can't rely on just them, right? They've been doing it forever long, and I don't know. If everybody is not in it, then
I agree, but the reality of the situation is, as much as we say that, the only time you get mass organization like this is in times of crisis.
Yeah.
Then people need to do better. We all need to do better.
I agree.
I
agree. I'm just saying historically, that's how it happens. You know, when stuff hits the fan, that's when crowds come out. Okay.
Break the cycle.
That's the problem.
This has to stop. And you know what? If I know it's probably not a good thing to say, but I would rather go down swinging than just go down. That's just how I feel.
I think that's the sentiment of most people. Trust me.
Well, exactly.
I don't see that as anything wrong. My other thing with this situation is that, you know, things that we can do to try to change the situation that we're in right now. We talked about the economics, about focusing on Black-owned businesses. We also should be looking to, you know, people say, "Oh, my vote doesn't matter." Blah. You vote. Voting on not just the presidential level, but your community level is extremely important. Okay,
very important.
Even voting for the you know, the little county positions you think don't matter, the mayor, this, that, and other. Those things are important. That's when you're going to start to see change in your communities.
Exactly.
You need to go out. Get registered to vote, vote. That's how you're going to see things change. And I also call on the lawmakers, Congress, Senate. You know, we stand on this thing called the Constitution. We stand on the Declaration of Independence, all these old documents, right? Have you read some of these things? These things were founded in slavery. Some of these amendments were only ratified a couple of years ago. Are you serious? It is time to sit down and look at these things in place and say, hey, this language does not include everybody.
Rewrite the whole thing. Amendments, rewrite the whole thing. Just rewrite it.
Let's talk about the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is in place, right? That's how they use, this is what they use to take away the rights of incarcerated people. Yep. Okay? You have mass incarceration of, who's the majority in prison?
Us.
People of color, Black people, okay? For petty crimes sometimes. Like now we get this whole, legalize the marijuana now because, you know, they want the marijuana and they making money off of the marijuana. But before—
how many people in jail for—
Thank you. If you're gonna legalize it, then how many people are in jail for it? They should be released.
Serving how many years on years?
I never get that. I never understand that concept.
I mean,
how is it legal and people are still in jail?
Thank you.
Fine. It's not federally legal, so that's. But still, why are people serving number of years sentence?
They find something to tack on, but they can't put people who kill somebody in jail. They can't put the dude who shot the child in Florida in jail. They let him out, and then he went and shot somebody else or did something else, right? But somebody with a dime bag on them is under the prison.
The drug war, let's talk about these things. America likes to stand on these little concepts that they had, but let's talk about these things. The drug war failed, okay, friend? The drug war failed. The Reagan administration set out this whole thing, say no to drugs, the drug war. It was a way to incarcerate people of color from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. This was the way to continue oppression. Okay, get rid of it. Get rid of it. All your little high class and middle class folks are over there snorting this stuff. So I don't know what to tell you. Shut it down. Shut it down. Defund these prisons and shut it down. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. The prisons are making so much money off of our lives.
So much money.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a documentary by Ava DuVernay, once again, coming through for the culture. 13.
Awesome.
It's on Netflix. This woman is awesome. She keeps talking about the issues, and you need to watch it. It is so important that we understand all the systematic and institutional things that are in place to continue to keep us down. We need to speak on these things, and we need to vote against these things.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
But then, so sorry, my question is, so where can we go? Let's say America is not for us. Where can we truly go where we as a people, Black people, are valued and respected and treated like humans? Where can we go? Because I've thought about it. I'm like, listen, I'm not from here. Let me go back to where I'm from. Then, I mean, the opportunities are not the same. You know, the place is a different place. Okay, where else can I go?
Listen.
Anywhere you go, Black people are not.
It's always a struggle. We're struggling.
But that's
even
why
when Black people are
leaving
part
is
of
not the answer. Leaving is not the answer.
Kristen, you sure it's not the answer?
Stop it.
I know you can go right back home.
I know you are over here pushing. You know, this is, let me just roll this down, okay? We all here, we can all go someplace. Each of us here who talk and have someplace to go, but it's not the answer. Because even when you leave, there are people who can't.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I had this conversation with my family. I was like, we have somewhere to go, but like if I talk to another Black American, they don't. This is it for them. At least, okay, I have a choice. We all here have a choice. But there's some people who don't. And it's kind of sad. And I mean, it's like when you think about it, it's really disheartening.
But that's what I'm saying to you. This is, you know, if you leave, you're no longer a part of the solution. You know, you're leaving people high and dry. And I feel like, you know, yes, it's an easy option, but you know, we got to work together. We got to try to figure out how we're going to get through this. You know, it does not help when you have an entire, you know, the law and the things that are supposed to be in place to protect you are actually attacking you. That is a problem. Okay, that's where we need to start. We need to start fixing the laws and fixing the culture behind policing in America. Okay, and just in general, we need to start educating one another about how we're going to, you know, move forward as a people. Black people traditionally, you know, we do not unify like others, like the way we should. That's my personal opinion. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but it's only in times of crisis that we come together, and we're so strong together. You would think we would understand, oh, let's stay together. No. I see groups here saying, oh, well, if you're not like, you know, second, third generation African-American, then you're not African-American. There's a group out there like that, okay? And saying, well, then you can't understand our struggle. Like if you're Afro-Caribbean like us, or if you're from the continent, you can't understand it, blah, blah, you don't understand what it is. And I'm like, this is not helping the movement. We all share the same descendants, the same ancestors. Let's work together. Let's work together. It's time to come on the same page, and you're not going to get any forward movement without unification. You know, it's only going to be crabs in a barrel. We have to understand our power together is stronger than apart.
I agree with you though. You know, understanding how your government works, getting out and voting, going to things like your town hall meetings in your community or whatever, you know, doing all that stuff, because that's how, you know, at the town hall meetings, that's where stuff happens. That's where the discussions about what's going to happen with the community happens. So only the people who show up and raise their voices in those meetings, actually, that's how,
make a difference.
You know, that's how changes are made.
It's true.
You know, you look at like the Jewish communities,
Mm-hmm.
You would never have this
They
problem in the Jewish community. Absolutely
They
not.
stick together.
Well, number one, they're unified. Number two,
Mhm.
the economic power behind them is too strong.
They stick
Too
together.
strong.
That's the first and foremost thing. They stick together.
I'm
If
telling
a
you.
bunch of them band together and say, hey, we want this rezoned, or we want to turn this into
Same
a
with the
parking lot.
Asians.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Jewish community does know how to unify. My thing with them, though, is that it goes back to Paranomics. They have an incredible economic infrastructure behind them. There is no way you're going to come in there in their community and tell them any of this oppression nonsense. No.
But you know what? Okay, so we don't have the money, but we have numbers. Like, that's where we have to start. As you said, everybody has to band together. If we don't band together.
Yeah, I agree. So how do you think this is impacting the health of our patients? We gotta address that too, because we take care of patients that look like us. So how do you think this is affecting them?
If it's affecting our mental health, it's affecting theirs.
Definitely.
And blood pressure probably now 200 over 300.
Yeah, just from the conversations they're having in their house, right?
Just from the conversation. Instagram and Facebook. So you know, everybody they are them scroll, and all they're being inundated by.
You get more upset.
Yeah, blood pressure hives. Blood sugar, them eat everything and anything.
Stress eating, They're stress eating.
Listen.
I mean, at the end of the day, racism is a public health crisis. It needs to be added into, like, you know, the little purple and green book that we had in our pocket.
Yeah, it should be added.
It needs to be added into it. Racism is a public health crisis. The racism within medicine, the racism outside of medicine, it's all impacting our patients. But kind of like what you're saying, Emily, you need to have a place to express it. And a lot of them may not be able to express it. You don't need to express it so that your blood pressure is 200 and you don't take your medication. But we need to have somewhere to express it, because it hurts you emotionally and mentally. So I think just as it's impacting us, like Emily said, it's impacting them just the same.
Okay. Now, also, I want to add to that. I totally agree with what you guys are saying, but I also want to add, you know, the history of medicine. If we look at medicine going back how many years? Back to what do they call them? The Five Fathers, you know, that picture with Osler and all, you know, the father of gynecology and all these boys. Oh my goodness, the experiments they did on Black slaves in the
Can we not talk about it?
That's a not.
Can we not talk about it?
No, we need to, guys. I'm so sorry.
So much I can take.
We do need to have that discussion, because it's part of the reason that people have distrust in the medical community. It's a part of the reason that we have the racial biases that were built into medicine that have to be, you know, deconstructed. We're the ones who are going to have to do that. Doctors of color, of African descent, of, you know what I'm saying, we have to band together and come together, and we have to do this for our patients. We have movements of Black women saying they're not being heard by their physicians. Okay, they have an entire movement. Okay, Serena Williams is backing this movement. They're not being heard by their physicians. That's coming from someplace. From someplace. Now we've got white coats for Black patients, which I think absolutely hands off to you. Yes, there's an organization called White Coats for Black Lives, or Black.
Yes, I've seen
and
that.
They are in
awesome.
Every major city. They're associated with the medical schools. It's awesome. Hats off to them. They're really working to get rid of that racial bias that's implanted in healthcare, and trying to educate young doctors who are coming up how not to use this as a part of how they take care of patients, and how to help those patients. Because remember, you know, our color has a lot to do with socioeconomics. Okay, so if you don't come from a good socioeconomic background, you have less access to care. You have more disparity in medicine. So basically, you're getting all these diabetes, hypertension, all of these preventable conditions because you're not being able to see a doctor sooner, and you're not getting to see them as frequent, and the access to medication is limited, and the access to good food is limited. Let's be honest. It's cheaper to go to McDonald's and buy some food than to go to Whole Foods, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't have Whole Foods. I don't have Whole Foods. I have Whole Foods money.
I know, but I'm just drawing the reference to show the difference in socioeconomics, right?
I hear you. I completely, I understand what you're saying, that it's something that, we need to talk about. I'm just like, my visceral reaction is getting hard to control.
I understand, but we have to, this is something we have to discuss, and our patients need us to be able to talk about it. They need us to be honest, okay? We're the ones they're going to look at and trust.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you saw that whole thing when they just started to figure out about the vaccines, who they were trying to go experiment on.
Going to Africa to do the vaccines.
Can you imagine?
That's a whole nother.
So, I mean,
that is
it's very necessary. And no, what I'm saying, it's necessary to talk about it.
I agree.
That's my point for bringing that up. It wasn't to go down that road. Let's put it that way.
I agree, Candace. And these are the things that our patients are reading and going, what in the entire
exactly.
And we have to be able to address those things and answer those questions and reassure and protect. We have to be able to advocate for them also. When we're going to be the first line of protection. When we see things, we have to be able to say, no, this is not right. So this has been a very heavy conversation.
Very heavy.
I wanna.
I'm here for all of it.
It's okay. I wanna end on a good note. Okay. I want to say to each and every one of you that are listening, and to my sisters who are on with me, love you. I care for you. I pray for you. All of my Black people. I lift you up. This is why I got into medicine. Because I wanted to treat people who I felt were not, being treated equally. And I wanted to have a voice in my community, and I wanted to use it for the betterment. So, I feel like, we got to keep the momentum. As I said, we got to keep the momentum. We need to invest in Black, buy Black, we need to support our own community. We need to educate our peers that are not of color. Okay. Be patient with them. Answer their questions. I know it's a lot. It's okay. Okay. When they don't understand, take a pause, try to explain, don't get into these unnecessary arguments with people over things. If they're not trying to understand, just say, God bless you, and walk away. But if they are, engage in that conversation, because those with privilege are actually going to help us in this movement. Okay. They may not understand 100% what we're going through, but by them standing with us, it gives us a larger voice.
Yes.
Okay. So, is there anything else you guys want to say before we end?
Sorry, go ahead, Akuya.
I was gonna say, whether you're protesting, whether you're rioting, whether you're writing on social media, whether you're reading social media, please take your mental health very seriously. You have to rest. Sometimes you need to turn the news off, or turn the Facebook off. Stop the scrolling. Stop, arguing with strangers. You need it. It can weigh on you. So please take care of yourself.
I agree. And to chime in on that, it's good to check in with people.
Yes.
I mean, your brothers, your nephews, your uncle, your dad. I mean, everybody's feeling it. I mean, even with just talking with you guys, it's good to check in. So I think we should all do it with our families, with everyone else out there.
Yeah. I think for, with the blackout day coming June 7th, July 7th. The easy answer is to say, I don't know any Black owned businesses or whatever. Now's the time to do your research. That's right. We have a whole month. And you know what? You don't have to start on July 7th. You can start tomorrow. You can start today. you know, go out and do your research and find out where are the Black owned restaurants, or, you know, the Black hair salon or nails. I mean, we can't go to those places right now, but you know, the hairdresser who will come to your house in her mask or his mask, the barber, and cut your hair or do your hair, and that person is Black. Throw your money at them. Like, you know, just because you don't know now doesn't mean you can't educate yourself. And same thing for figuring out how your government works and how your community works and how you can make an impact in your community. Yesterday, I saw on the news the newest mayor, or the mayor-elect of Ferguson, Missouri, is a Black woman.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Yes.
first one.
First
Yes.
woman. Yep.
So, you know, she, you know, people went out and they, you know, I don't know what her I can't think
Platform.
Duties?
her platform was, but I mean, people went out and voted, and that means they had to know, hey, there's an election coming up, it's on this day, these are the candidates, and this is the one I want because this is the platform that they're you know, standing on. So you can do your research. We have the phones, the tablets, the whatever, Google. You like to Google your medical illness and come and tell me what you have? Cool. Google what's going on in your community and figure out who's gonna be helping you and your family and your friends.
Okay, I want to end by saying, do your census, do your census, do your census. Okay, if you haven't done it, you need to fill it out. Okay, that's also how we affect change. If we know who you are and where you are, we can, you know, more numbers, we have more effect. Number one. Number two, as Emily said, educate yourself on the process, on the political process. Go and register to vote if you have not registered, and vote. November is not the only election. November is not the only election. Okay.
Yes.
You have community, you know, efforts that are going on around you. If you want to join any of those community efforts that's going on around NAACP, Black Lives Matter, they all have websites talking about how you can link up with your neighborhood community efforts. Okay. Go online. If you'd like to donate, we'll have those donation websites up on our links on www.mdfem.com. This is going to be posted on both our Anchor podcast and on YouTube. We thank you for joining us. I thank you, ladies. I know it was a difficult discussion, but we got through it. I pray healing and love and blessings to all of my Black brethren everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.